Are you considering a residential development site but have concerns with the location of a power pole, speed hump, or a bus stop? Well, stick around because in this video, I'm going to share everything you need to know and exactly what you need to be looking out for. Let's get into it. Hey guys, Peter Kelly here from Little Fish Property Developments, helping you maximize the value of your land and generate wealth through low-risk residential development projects. We share everything you need to deliver successful projects time and time again on this channel. So if you're new around here, make sure you hit the subscribe button and turn the bell notifications on so you don't miss a thing. When undertaking due diligence on a potential townhouse development site, some of the more significant encumbrances on the street side of your site that you need to be aware of include power poles, speed humps, and bus stops, all of which can and will cause significant issues if you aren't aware of the impact that they can have on your site before committing to the development. Encumbrances such as these would typically turn developers off, but not us here at Little Fish. At least that's not our default setting. We see sites such as these to have a competitive advantage potentially. This is an excellent example of knowledge equaling money. If you can work through these curveballs and gain confidence to move forward, the chance is that you've secured a site without competition and potentially undervalued in most cases. We are under no illusions that these sites can be risky business, but we also understand that they offer a great opportunity if you can work your way through the encumbrance and find a way to deal with it positively. Before we go too deep, it's important to point out that the information is always general in nature and you will need to perform your own due diligence. The authorities that we'll be referring to in this video will be relevant to the Victorian authorities such as Vic Roads. So make sure you still do your own research and speak with your own local authorities. Let's look at power poles, speed humps, and bus stops individually. We'll look at the potential impact each can have on a site, as well as the various options for dealing with each. Not all power poles out the front of your property are going to cause issues. They only become a problem if you are looking to add an additional crossover and the pole is in the way of its proposed location. Generally speaking, you would need a meter clearance between the proposed crossover and the power pole. If you don't have that clearance, it is possible to relocate the pole, but it will come at a cost, like most things in life. The cost will depend on the specific pole, on your nature strip, and its actual purpose with regards to the street's power distribution. Light and power poles aren't all the same. Some are considered more important than others. The cost to relocate will depend on precisely what needs to be moved and how many related services and lines need to be moved on that pole. As nothing more than a rough guide for a high-level feasibility, you could put a circle around $30,000 to $50,000. When proposing the relocation of a power pole, ideally you want to keep it inside your own frontage. This will help minimize objections from neighbors when trying to move it onto their frontage. Next are speed humps. Again, a speed hump would only become an issue if it was in the way of where you're proposing to add another crossover. Council, or more specifically Vic Roads, won't support backing onto a speed hump, which means you will need to move it. Moving speed humps is an option, it is possible, but again it will cost. For the most part, the cost to moving a speed hump will depend on the type of hump and the required materials relative to your immediate area. That said, you could put a circle around $5,000 to $15,000. Again, if possible, when you propose the move, you would want to try and keep it in front of your own property to minimize the risk of neighbors objecting. Not too many of your neighbors are going to be excited about you proposing to move your speed hump over onto the frontage of their property, or your power pole for that matter. So keeping them out the front of your own property will go a long way to getting a positive outcome. Next up, let's talk bus stops. Bus stops are significantly less common, but they still need to be mentioned as they are without doubt the most risky. That's of course, even if you want a bus stop out the front of your development to begin with. For us here at Little Fish, in most cases, if it makes dollars, then it makes sense. We've moved a couple of bus stops over the journey, so there are times when this does make sense. The process of moving a bus stop is a lot trickier than moving power poles and speed humps. All things being equal, you want to have an extreme confidence around the potential solution in place before committing to a site. We have found that reaching out to the local council initially to gauge their appetite is a great place to start, and potentially even reach out to your local transport authority, as these guys will ultimately rule on the decision. As you would be aware, not all bus stops are the same. Some have rotundas and others are just a pole with a sign. So the cost to move and the significance of the move will come down to the specific stop and the local council and authority. Decisions like this one, no matter how much effort and work that you put in, ultimately will come down to the discretion of the relevant development authority. So you need to ensure that you have open dialogue and that you are reading between the lines. If you are new to developing property, then taking the time to understand these nuances of the game will pay a dividend in the long run. It will give you a competitive advantage and ultimately help you make more money. So don't be scared of sites with encumbrances such as these we've just discussed. Get excited because there could be a great opportunity once you get further down the road. That's it, guys. That's a wrap. Hopefully you're getting a ton of value from these training videos. We love making them, so if you have any questions or topics that you'd like us to tackle, drop them in the comments box below. And of course, if you haven't already subscribed, please turn the bell notifications on so you don't get left behind. I'm Peter Kelly. Thanks for watching, and until next time, happy developing.